Walker. So when he comes, I will give you a signal.
Why don't you tell Rich? Bob. Tell Rich.
Yeah, I was trying to get
on the back. Please be seated. Thanks to Dr. Rockman and the Bachelor Boy State Band. It sounded like deja vu it was a little bit. Color guard, in the advance of colors, will you all please rise?
Present. I'd like to invite our new Lieutenant Governor, Henry Bisnick, City of Schofield, Sawyer County, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to invite Bishop Thomas Greenes, Assistant Director of Council Recruiting and Retention, to come forward to give the invocation.
Wisconsin is a state of many religions. In May of 2014, in the case of Town of Greece versus Galloway, the U.S. delivered an opinion written by Justice Kennedy, which reads in part, "From the earliest days of the nation, invocations have been addressed to assemblies comprising many different creeds. These ceremonial prayers strive for the idea that people of many faiths may be united in a community of tolerance and devotion. Even those who disagree as to religious doctrine may find common ground to show respect for the divine in all aspects of their lives." Tonight's invocation will be delivered by a representative of the Jain religious community, County Councilor Chirag Shah, Doolittle County, serving on the staff for 13 years, Boy Stater in 2001 from Mequon, Wisconsin, and a member of the Jain Temple of Wisconsin in Pewaukee.
Good evening. Jainism is an ancient religion from India which had a renaissance about 2,600 years ago. There are 7 million practicing Jains worldwide, including 250,000 in the United States. We're lucky to have about 100 families here in the great state of Wisconsin at our temple in Pewaukee. The core tenets of Jainism are nonviolence, non-materialism, and tolerance and acceptance of all viewpoints. Tonight's prayer is in the ancient Indian language of Sanskrit, and it is called the Nokar Mantra. I will ask for each of you to focus on a peaceful and harmonious conclusion to your Boy State experience as I recite the prayer tonight. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Uvajayanam, Namo Loe Savasahunam, Eso Panchanamukaro, Savapavapanasano, Mangalanam cha Sauvesim, Padamam Have Mangalam. Thank you.
You be seated. Given the great portion and distinguished guests tonight seated on the stage, National Commander Michael Helm of the American Legion. Justice Ann Walsh Bradley. Department of Wisconsin American Legion State Commander Ken Chicago. The Chairman of the BBS Board, Russ Hansetter. Our excellent host for these many days, College President Zach Massetti. Legal Counselor Trent Benchett. Assistant Director of Recruitment and Retention, Reverend Thomas Greenes. And Boy State President Robert Batty. My name is Fred Burns, and I'm the director of Badger Boys State. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker. On January 3, 2012, Scott Walker was inaugurated as Wisconsin's 45th governor. Scott was born on November 2nd, 1867 to Lowell and Patricia Walker, not Candy Roy. Help me out, Governor.
1967.
1967 to Lowell and Patricia Walker in Colorado Springs, Colorado. He spent his earliest years in Plainfield, Iowa, where Llewellyn served as a pastor of their local church. The family moved to Dillon, Wisconsin in 1976 when Scott's father was called to pastor a church there. Scott was involved in sports, band, church, and achieved the rank of Eagle Scout. He remains active in Boy Scouts of America to this day. While in high school, Scott was selected to attend the 1985 session of the American Legion Badger Boy State here in Ripon, Wisconsin. He was selected as one of the 2 representatives of Boys Nation in Washington, D.C. The experience opened Scott's eyes to public service. He returned to Badger Boy State for a number of years, serving as city councilor. In 1986, Scott moved to Milwaukee to attend Marquette University. While still in school, he worked for IBM before leaving to work full-time in financial Red Cross. Scott was elected to the State Assembly in 1993. While there, he chaired several committees and authored important pieces of legislation that include truth in sentencing, voter identification requirements to vote, and the elimination of statute of limitations in sexual assault cases. In 2002, Scott was elected Milwaukee County Executive to reform the county government. Scott is married to Lynette, and they have 2 sons, Matt and Alex. They are active in the community and the church. Please welcome Wisconsin Governor and former Badger Boy Stater, Scott Walker.
Nice job to the band. Thank you. Freedom, endowed by our Creator, defined by our Constitution, but defended each and every day by the men and women who proudly wear the uniform of these United States. Before we say anything else, I want to ask, and there are obviously a number up here in the front, but any of the parents as well, grandparents, family and friends that are here, would all the veterans, anybody who is in the service of this country, has served in the service of our country as a veteran, or a family member of someone who served in our service, would you stand up and be recognized for a moment? I want to thank you for inviting me back tonight. I had a chance, a little bit unique. Each year I've been here, and I was kidding the president here at Ripon College. We took a cue as well. I've been here enough times I know to take my jacket off and roll up my sleeves, because I know how hot it gets. I was Boy Staters. I was here 30 years ago. I know how much it stinks after a while in this room, so I'm going to be at least cool if I have to smell all you guys who've been running around all the time. But I got a chance tonight, in addition to being here for many years, the last few as your governor, and before that as a county executive, before that as a state representative, and before that for many years, like a number of the great folks around the edges here on the Boys State, the Boys Nation staff for a few years. But tonight they did something different. They let me come a little bit early, and I met with some of the folks with the Badger Bugle, the communications, the journalism class, and they asked me before we came in some of the things I learned from Boys State. I'm going to share a few of them tonight. But the first thing I learned is what I just started out with, and that is what makes Boys State, what makes Boys Nation, what next week when I'm at Girls State in Oshkosh so special, is that the men and women over the years here and across this country who came up with the idea of boys state and boys nation and girls state and girls nation, the veterans who did it because of their love for country. The love of country and the love of patriotism. And when I'm talking about that, that's not about Democrat or Republican. That's not about big city or small town. That's about love of country. You know, if you look on your currency, there's a slogan, a motto that is our garden and our residency, which means out of many, one. And so even with all of you looking at your red or your blue on your name tags, Federalist or Nationalist, you're one. You're boy staters. You're not just Federalist or Nationalist, you want one party or another. And what makes that so special, I hope you've learned it this week, is that the men and women who serve this country care so deeply, not just about their country, but those who are involved in the Legion and others like them across this state, across this country. So we've got to have something that reinforces the value of patriotism in this country, that hopefully inspires a love for country, and so it's appropriate we thank them to begin with, because we wouldn't be talking about freedom here tonight if it hadn't been for somebody who made that sacrifice. About 2 weeks ago, we celebrated the 71st anniversary of D-Day. You think of all the different generations, but particularly those on D-Day, thinking about Normandy. And I met a guy last year in the 70th up in Chippewa Falls who, much like the story that our great Justice is going to tell in just a few moments, I'm not going to spill her beans because she's got a great way of telling it, but I met a World War II veteran, actually in Chippewa Falls at our home for the State Veterans Home in Chippewa Falls. We have about 33 World War II veterans, many other veterans from Korea, Vietnam, and other conflicts and wars as well. But I wanted to meet on D-Day some of our World War II veterans, and one of them said, I was there. I said, oh, you were at World War II? He said, no, I was at Normandy that day. And he proceeded to show me on his stomach where he got shot, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. The third in the middle where the shrapnel was still inside of him. And he talked about how lucky he was, even though he got shot 4 times, because everybody else in his platoon never made it home. And you think about, the idea, I see it on some of these honor flights, the back of the shirts that say every day is a bonus. And you think about how wonderful that was and how we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for men and women like them. Of course, he was a great optimist. He was 91. He also told me after I was kind of awestruck by all that, he said, honey, and he pointed to the woman next to him who was sitting there having dinner with him. He was 91, she was 89. He said, show him your hand. And she put out her hand and there was an engagement ring on it. They'd just been engaged to be married. I said, now that's optimism at that age. But I think about that and I think about how wonderful it is, and throughout the years, for me, I used to come here because it made me feel young. I realized tonight it was 30 years ago I was here, not in this hall, but in the old gymnasium. Just as smelly as it was tonight, just as hot. The shirts were about the same. The feeling was just the same. It's just a different building and obviously a different decade. For you young folks, it might look at me and say a different century. But I brought my sons, Matt and Alex, who 4 years ago, Matthew was actually the governor on Badger Boys State. So he outdid me. I was the Secretary of State. Then I went on to Boys Nation, and my parents went to Boys State. My dad went to Boys State. My mom went to Girls State. But I think about the impact, not only the influence that those veterans and those educators and others who were part of the staff had on me in terms of the importance of public service. Not just politics. And a lot of you parents might say, okay, they ran for office, they give politics, they give campaigns. That was all a lot of fun to get to the spots where you all are at, and the others who ran for county and city office. But it's much greater than that. Because maybe a few of you along the way someday will grow up and be on a city council or county board. You might be a governor. Who knows? Maybe there's a president somewhere here in the future as well among some of the young men who are here or some of the young women. But it's much more than just that. Most of you are going to go on to be doctors or lawyers or farmers or teachers or ministers or others out there. But going forward, you're going to be marked men. I hope for those of you here who are family members, you're looking over at them and besides wondering how they got through wearing the same shirt without washing it along the way, or like they made an announcement, they got a couple of shirts. I got one when I was here. Thank God you guys got a few more than that along the way. But I hope that you've seen something's changed a little bit of them. You already knew they were great. You were proud of them, even though, like me with my sons, I'm proud of them, even though some days I think they're knuckleheads even today. But I hope you're proud of them. You were proud of them before them, but I hope you've seen something a little bit's changed along the way. There's a little bit more, maybe a little bit you've grown up in just a few days this week to see how serious it is and to see at the same time you can be serious and have fun for me, along the way, there are friendships. I love coming back here alone just for the friends I made 30 years ago and along the way on the staff. And people, even those who are in different political parties than I am, who are in Boise State or serving on Boise State staff, who are still friends today. And I hope you met those sort of folks. I hope for some of you who maybe came from a small town like I did, that maybe you met from a big city. You got a chance, as I did, when I grew up in a small town, and meet some folks that I never would have had a chance to hang out with. That was an incredible opportunity. You're going to have those friendships, not just going into your senior year, not just into college, or whether you're going to a four-year college or university or community college or some other program. Friendships that go on for a lifetime. But I hope you also recognize that going forward, you're going to be more, not just with your teachers and your parents and others, maybe your siblings see in this next year how maybe this week has changed you in a way that you never thought was possible. I know for a lot of you, probably like I did that first day or two, I wondered, even though I liked civics, I liked history, I wondered for a day or two, why am I here? Was this the right fit? And hopefully by today, you've recognized that this was a perfect spot. This is the place you were supposed to be. You are the best of the best. And we're going to be calling on you in the future. Hopefully this week makes you not just better in your chosen profession, or if you've yet to choose one, what it might be somewhere down the road, or if you go to school and consider where you want to be in the rest of your life, or at least for part of your career, or maybe you change it again. Hopefully it makes you someday a better husband to someone, a better father, a better family member, a better community member, a better citizen. I think this week will have that kind of impact. And we're counting on that, because you see, that's the kind of state, the kind of country, the kind of community we live in. I'll just end with telling you this. Years ago, I as a kid growing up in that small town of Delavan near the state line, I loved history, but my family never had a chance to go to places like Philadelphia. And so a couple of years ago, after my wife and I were married for a few years, we had a chance to go to Philadelphia. And for me, I was so looking forward to going to Independence Hall. You see, if anybody loves history, you know that Independence Hall, of course, it's the place where the founders of this country put together the very documents that make this the United States of America. And so maybe I'm a little bit of a geek, but I thought of our founders like superheroes, bigger than life. So that day in Philadelphia, I got up early in the morning, went out with the National Park Service, went by the Liberty Bell, then went into Independence Hall. As the sun was coming up, I started to look at the desk, and I looked at the chairs, and it dawned on me. These were ordinary people. Ordinary people had sat and served in those chairs and in those desks. Ordinary, what extraordinary. You see, these were patriots who didn't just risk their political careers, they didn't just risk their business ventures. These were patriots who literally risked their lives for the freedoms we hold here today. The reason I tell you that story here tonight is that maybe to give you a little inspiration going forward, that as challenging as times are in your school, in your family, in your house, in your state, across this country, around the world, one of the things that gives us great inspiration are moments like that where we see the very founders of this country in times of crisis, be it economic or fiscal, military or spiritual. In times of crisis, what has made America great, what has made us exceptional, what has made us the greatest country in the history of the world, has been all throughout those times. All throughout those times of crisis, there have been men and women of courage who've been willing to think more about the future of their children, and yes, someday their grandchildren, than they thought about their own political futures. This is one of those times. This is what we're looking at for the future, to say, what's the next generation of leaders like that? The next generation that's going to step up in your communities, here in your state and across this country, to provide that kind of leadership that says, we're going to think about the future, not just the present. We're going to think about the impact it makes on future generations. And I hope, in many small ways, while you've already had the seeds of that kind of leadership planted with your family, with your school, with your church or your place of worship, with your community as a whole, I hope in a way that those seeds that were planted were nourished, were watered, were encouraged, so this week we can faith. And that for all the work and dedication of the many veterans who fought and served for those freedoms, and the many others who've now come home through organizations like the American Legion to encourage you through programs like this, you're going to make sure that those efforts will lead to many more courageous acts in the future from the very men who are in this room here today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to the family members for raising such wonderful young men. You should be proud of them. And thank you going forward for not only what you've done throughout your high school career, but particularly as we look forward, thank you for what you're going to do in the future. May God bless you. May God bless this great state. And may God bless the United States of America.
Thank you everyone for taking the time to be with us tonight. We appreciate you being here. We are very proud of our band, directed by Richard Bakken, and our choir led by Jason Marshall and Paul Williams. And now hear solo selections performed by the Battery Boys State Chorus.
Singing the song of angry men, it is the music of a people who will not be slaves again. When the Angels sing.
Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Attorney Springfield and Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Ann Walsh Bradley to administer the oath of office to our newly elected state officials. The names of the 6 justices of the Supreme Court are Freddie Zhu, Tyler Huggins, Oliver Noderman, James Dickman IV, Connor Hines, and Nolan Hammer. Would you please rise, gentlemen?
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name, do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States, the state of Wisconsin, and the Badger Boys State, and that I will carry out my Badger Boy State Pledge, and that I will faithfully, and to the best of my ability, perform the duties of the office of Supreme Court Justice, to which I am elected. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Chief Justice Ryan Powers.
That's my brother.
Chief, do you want to come on up here? Sure. I wish I had your outfit. You would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Ryan Powers,
I, Ryan Powers,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States,
to uphold the Constitution of the United
the
States,
state of Wisconsin,
the state of Wisconsin,
and the Badger State,
the Badger Boy State,
and that I will carry out
and that I will carry out
my Badger Boy State Pledge,
my Badger Boy State Pledge,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
and to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
perform the duties
perform the duties
of Chief Justice
of Chief Justice,
to which I have been elected.
to which I have been elected.
Congratulations.
And our Superintendent of Public Instruction, Jacob Caviani. Jacob.
Raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Jacob Caviani,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold the Constitution
that I will uphold the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
the state of Wisconsin,
the state of Wisconsin,
and the Badger Boy State,
and a Badger Boy State,
and that I will carry out
and that I will carry out
my Badger Boy State Pledge,
my Badger Boy State Pledge,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
and to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
perform the duties
perform the duties
of the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction,
of the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction,
to which I have been elected.
to which I have been elected.
Congratulations.
Badger Boy State Attorney General Caleb Jeffries.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Caleb Jeffries,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold
that I will uphold
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United
the
States,
state of Wisconsin,
the state of Wisconsin,
and Badger Boys State,
and Badger Boys State,
and that I will carry out
and that I will carry out
my Badger Boys State pledge,
my Badger Boys State pledge,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and to the best of my
and
ability
to the best of my ability
perform the duties
perform the duties
of the office of Attorney General
of the office of Attorney General
to which I have been elected.
to which I have been elected.
Congratulations.
Our State Treasurer, Sitan John.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
Don Jane,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold
that I will
the
uphold
Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the United
the
States,
state of Wisconsin,
the state of Wisconsin,
and of Badger Boys State,
and of Badger Boys State,
and that I will carry out
and that I will carry out
my Badger Boys State pledge,
my Badger Boys State pledge,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and to the best of my ability
and to the best of my ability
perform the duties
perform the duties
of the office of State Treasurer
of the office of State Treasurer
to which I have been elected.
to which I have been elected.
Congratulations.
Our Secretary of State, Robert Parker.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Robert Parker,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold
that I will uphold
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United
the
States,
state of Wisconsin,
the state of Wisconsin,
and the Badger Boys State,
and of Badger Boys State,
and that I will carry out
and that I will carry out
my Badger Boys State pledge,
my Badger Boys State pledge,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and to the best of my ability
and to the best of my ability
perform the duties
perform the duties
of the office of Secretary of State,
of the office of Secretary of State,
to which I have been elected.
to which I have been elected.
Congratulations.
Lieutenant Governor Henry Bisnick.
Raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Henry Bisnick,
swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold
that I will uphold
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United
the
States,
state of Wisconsin,
the state of Wisconsin,
and Badger Boys State,
and of Badger Boys State,
and that I will carry out my Badger Boys State pledge,
and that I will carry out my Badger Boys State pledge,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and to the best of my ability
and to the best of my ability
perform the duties
perform the duties
of the office of Lieutenant Governor,
of the office of Lieutenant Governor,
to which I have been elected.
to which I have been elected.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And our Badger Boy State Governor for 2015, Jacob Malinowski.
If you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Jacob Malinowski,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold
that I will uphold
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United
the
States,
state of Wisconsin,
the state of Wisconsin,
and the Badger Boys State,
and of Badger Boys States,
that I will carry out
that I will carry out
my Badger Boys State pledge,
my Badger Boys State pledge,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully,
and to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability,
perform the duties
perform the
of
duties
the office of Governor,
of the office of Governor,
to which I have been elected.
to which I have been elected.
Jacob, congratulations.
gentlemen, congratulations again on your election to state office. We are honored to have Justice Bradley with us tonight. Justice Ann Walsh Bradley was elected to the Wisconsin Supreme Court in 1995 and re-elected in 2005 and 2015. A native of Richland Center, Wisconsin, Justice Bradley received a bachelor's degree from Webster University in St. Louis. She was a high school teacher before entering the University of Wisconsin Law School, where she worked. Justice Bradley was in private practice until becoming a circuit court judge in Marathon County in 1985. Justice Bradley is a member of the board of directors of the International Judicial Academy and has served as a lecturer for both the Academy and the American Bar Association's Asia Law Initiative. Currently, she serves as the North American delegate to the board of directors of the International Women Judges Association and is an elected member of the American Law Institute, as well as a member of the State Bar Bench Bar Committee, the Board of Visitors of the University of Wisconsin School of Law, the Judicial Conference Executive Committee, and the Federal State Judicial Council. She is a past Associate Dean of the Wisconsin Judicial College and has formerly served as a Commissioner of the National Conference on Uniform Laws, Chair of the Wisconsin Rhodes Scholarship Committee, and a member of the Wisconsin Judicial Council. Please join me in welcoming Justice Ann Walsh Bradley to the podium.
Absolutely love being here for this event, and it is an honor to be asked to join in this celebration. And on behalf of the entire Wisconsin Supreme Court, I bring congratulations to each and every one of you, each and every one of the Badger Boys State, and I bring congratulations to the family and friends who are here tonight. I know that you are proud of their accomplishments. So I say, sit back, even though it's warm, be proud and enjoy. Last Sunday, June 14th, was Flag Day, and it has become a tradition for me at this event, which heralds our flag and our commitment as citizens to this great country, to tell you a story about a flag. It's a story of flag raising. It's about 6 young boys, not all that unlike many of you. They came from different parts of the country, and you come from different parts of the state of Wisconsin. And I'm going to tell you how they came together on a remote sulfur island in the Pacific during World War II to raise the flag on the island of Iwo Jima. All of you, I'm sure, have seen pictures of that flag raising, and perhaps some of you have been to see the monument in Washington, D.C. And I'm telling you the story about these 6 young boys because I want you to remember, I want you to appreciate the sacrifice that they and so many others who serve in our military have made. You know, Iwo Jima was one of the bloodiest battles in all of U.S. history. More Marines won the Medal of Honor for their service on Iwo Jima than in any battle in U.S. history. And it was in February of 1945. 70,000 Marines came on that island, and among them were 6 young boys. 6 young boys who became part of what was called Company E. Easy Company, they called it. One was a young fellow named Harlan Block, and he was coach of oil country. He was athletic, and he loved football. And he and the rest of his football members on that team in 1942 were the state champions. And at the end of his senior year, all of the seniors on that football team enlisted. They all became Marines. And Harlan died. He was one of the flag raisers. He died 6 days after they raised that flag on the island. Another one of those 6 young boys who raised that flag, I really like this one, Franklin Sousley. He had red hair, freckles, usually a grin on his face, kind of a Tom Sawyer sort of looking fellow. He grew up in a 4-room cabin in a little town, outside of a little town called Hilltop, Kentucky. And his teachers would say of him, his grades were perfect. He had a perfect string of C's, they said. He was an average student. His dad died when he was 90. His mom farmed together on that tobacco farm. He sailed for the on his 19th birthday, and he died there at age 19. And then there was Mike Strank. Mike Strank was called the Marines Marine. He was the old man of company, age 24. Sergeant, he didn't even know English when he started in grade school, because he came from Czechoslovakia. And at age 19, he enlisted in the Marines. And in some ways, it's a bit of a surprise that they even took him. But no one noticed. He wasn't a United States citizen. He was a Czechoslovakian citizen. And he served leading that company, Company E. He was respected, and he died at age 24. Rennie Gagnon, a young guy, 17 years old. Many of you here are 17 years old. He was the youngest one of those 6 boys. He was working in a textile mill in Manchester, New Hampshire. Then there was Ira Hayes. Ira Hayes was a proud Indian from Arizona. He and his family and their forefathers and ancestors lived on that land for centuries. He was quiet and shy. And he enlisted in the Marines 9 months after. And when he came back alive. And he came back and he was being heralded as a hero. And he said, how can I feel like a hero? There were 250 of my buddies in Company E, 250, and only 27 walked off alive. And then there was John Bradley, my father-in-law from Appleton. And when he was 19, he knew he was about to be drafted. And his dad, who had been serving in World War I, saw combat. He said to him, listen, son, enlist in the Navy. Avoid land battle. That was the advice from his dad. And my father-in-law, John, had been studying to be a funeral director, so both of them were convinced that with that kind of training, he would end up being a pharmacist mate in the Navy. And he did that for a while until they transferred him and assigned him to be a combat medic. And the Navy combat medics were attached to the Marines. And of course, they engaged, as I said, in some of the bloodiest battles of World War II. And when they landed on that island in February of 1945, attached to Company E were 14 medics. Shortly thereafter, they got down to 6. These medics were the ones that would crawl out of their holes, and they would attend to the injured and the dying with bandages and give them morphine as they were trying to dodge this fierce fighting, enemy fire. So they were down to 6. They brought in another 7. And when my father-in-law was carried off the island, he was the only medic that they had left in that whole company. So 6 boys, they're a representative picture of youth. They are a mill worker from New Hampshire, a Kentucky tobacco farmer, a young football player from oil country, coal miner's son, Arizona, and this young boy from Wisconsin. Only 2 of those walked off the island alive. One was carried off with shrapnel embedded up and down the side, and 3 were buried there. And I tell you this story because I want to give a face to those figures on that statue, the figures in the picture. Because I want you to remember their sacrifices and what they did and what daily people who are serving on our military, both at home and abroad, are doing for all of us. We have to be mindful of their sacrifice. We have to importance. And that's why I tell you this story. So we remember and so that we say thanks. Thank you.
The governor just told me to correct the county was wrong, so do that. You voted today and elected your governor back to Boyd State. I now invite Governor Jacob Malinowski of the PBS City of Taylor, the PBS County of Doolittle, to give you some brief remarks. Governor?
First, I want to talk to the person who created the program because first they put the most in Johnson and then distinguished Judge Bradley and then a 17-year-old kid who likes to watch Anderson Cooper. So I don't know I'm supposed to follow. Here it goes. First, I want to thank each and every one of you who's here, whether you voted with me or against me. You use that power of the vote, which is one of the most important privileges as a citizen. And I thank each and every one of you for going to the polls today and voting. I'd like to thank everyone in my city of Taylor, everyone in my county of Doolittle, Alex Lee, who's my campaign manager, he's an amazing guy. I want to thank all of the counselors, especially Shirag and Ethan and Jacob, who have worked really closely with me and they're really great guys, and I hope each and every one of you gets to know them. So, I don't have awesome stories. I didn't know we're telling awesome stories here. They didn't give me that memo either. But I want to tell you the story. I want to tell you the story of my journey here. So, I come from Greendale, Wisconsin. It's 10 miles east of Milwaukee. It's small, 16,000. It's a nice little village. I love it. It's really cool. Southeast of Milwaukee, not east. I don't live underwater, sadly. When I came here and my mom and dad dropped me off, I was kind of embarrassed. My mom was doing the mom routine. I'm sure most of you mothers out there did it too, with the whole unpacking, and she wanted to make my bed and fluff my pillow and all that great stuff, of course. Some commons room, and I didn't know anyone at all, single anywhere. We were divided. We said introductions. I hadn't heard of a single town anybody was from. I didn't know anyone. And as Abraham Lincoln once said, a house divided cannot stand. So, as the week went on, we began to move closer together. We ran in elections. We ran campaigns. We watched our softball team win and lose. Watched our football team lose a little bit more often. We learned a lot. We attended classes on parliamentary procedure, law, finance, peace. We learned a lot about the intricacies of government, and that's something cool to me. But we still weren't together. We were still individuals. We were still thinking about ourselves, not knowing where anybody's town was. We were talking to our friends. Maybe we made some close ones, remaining in our city a lot, but we didn't know everyone. We also had our losses. We lost elections. We lost campaigns. We didn't get nominated. We got an answer wrong in class. Our counselors didn't let us go to the bathroom. You had a radiation leak in your county like happened to me. That's unfortunate. But the cool thing is, we overcame it.
We started to win campaigns. You started to fight for what you believe in. You started to form a committee and pay a tax to clean up the radiation. We did a lot of things to come together. I can name every single person in the city. I can almost name every single person in my county. I can tell you where they're from, and I can almost point to you where all those cities are on the map. We voted together. We sat together in our city meetings and listened to the wise words of our counselors and the wise words of our peers. In my city, we heard quotes from Theodore Roosevelt about putting yourself out there, about being the best man you can be, about not being the critic who sits on the sideline, but the man who fights in the arena. What's cool about that? I think that's how America works. A bunch of guys came together. They had an identity, all part of the colonies, but they didn't know each other. Maybe they couldn't point to where their towns were on maps. They probably didn't know each other's middle names, and they probably didn't know a lot about each other, but as Governor Walker said, they were ordinary guys, and they sat down. They founded things like the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution of the United States. And these guys, they overcame a lot. They didn't just lose political elections, they lost friends, they lost family, they lost whole cities. The British burned down New York. But you know what they did? They got right back up. People critiqued them all around. Oh, you'll never win. Oh, this is stupid. Why are you fighting the British? They're the most powerful army in the world. But America won. They won because they stood back up. They won because they fought for what they believed in. They won because they took their mistakes and they internalized them. They learned what they did wrong and used that to overcome. They found good in every place they could. And that's why we're standing in the best country in the world. And sometimes I say that at school and people say, you're being arrogant. There are a bunch of other countries that are better. We owe a bunch of money to China. The Freedom Index says that Sweden is more free than we are. I don't believe any of that. I like to picture Thomas Jefferson writing the Declaration of Independence. I like to picture that in my mind, what he was going through, what one of the greatest authors in American history was thinking at the time. He didn't know what he was starting. He didn't know we would be the most powerful nation on earth. I don't think that's something arrogant to say because I think it's the truth. It's not arrogant to speak the truth. So, what I ask all of you citizens is to think about your ideal America or the ideal country you'd like to live in. What does it look like? What does it sound like? Who's running it? What do they believe? And I want you guys to do it. Whether you run for political office, whether you want to become president or senator or mayor of your own town, or whether you want to do another profession, I want you to fight for what you believe in. Always do what's right and always try to attain your ideal vision of America, because I bet you each and every one of us has a lot of things in common. We all want to be free, and we all are free. We are free to say whatever we want. We are free to practice any religion we want or no religion at all. We are free to write about whatever we want in the newspaper, because that's what our Constitution guarantees us. So I want each and every one of you to remember that. Read it sometime. It's a good read. It might be a little long, might be a little confusing, but it's got a lot of good stuff in there, I promise you. Even better than the Hunger Games, I might add. And I want you to take that to heart. Even if you can't visit Mount Rushmore or Philadelphia or Washington, D.C., you could Google them. You can picture them. You can picture what they look like in 1776 or 1864 or 1918 or 1945, or all of these important dates when wars were beginning or ending, or important dates in our American history. You can picture them. You can sit down in the shoes of Theodore Roosevelt or Abraham Lincoln or any of the great presidents of our time. Think about what they thought America was supposed to look like. Think about all the values they had of honor, dignity, of freedom, of doing what's right. And that's what I think America does today. We adapt to the modern world. All of us are 17. We use Snapchat and Facebook and Twitter and some things I don't even know of. But what we do is we adapt, and America adapts. America adapts to what changes in the world, and that's amazing. We're the best country on earth. I believe that, and I want each and every one of you to come and talk to me about what I think America looks like, and tell me what you think America looks like, because I'd love to hear it. Thank you very much for electing me as the governor of Badger Boys State Class 2015, and God bless America.
Congratulations, Governor.
Thank you.
By their votes, the citizens of Badger Boys State have told you that they think you possess those values that they want in their governor and their leader. They also shown in you a special level of confidence and trust that you need to remember.
Yes, sir.
So now it's time to govern and lead.
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to it.
Good. Live up to that confidence and trust they've shown in you. Be the leader you want to follow.
Thank you.
So on behalf of the 60,000 men and women of the Wisconsin American Legion, all veterans of wartime era, I'd like to present to you the American Legion Scholarship.
Badger Boys State would not exist without dedicated counselors and staff who give up a week of their lives every year to the program. We'd like to honor some of them for their years of service tonight. These counselors receiving awards have what we call anniversaries, and they come in years of 5. So the staff awards were presented by myself and Badger Boys State President Robert Batten. Gentlemen, could you please line up on the right side of the auditorium, my right. Norm Bednarnik, 5 years special services. Without Norm, I have no juice, so thanks, Norm. Leo Menders, 5 years in special services. David Moss, 5 years, City Council. Earlier, Michael Michael Kolarchuk, 5 years, City Councilor. Next is Brenda Krupa, RN, MSN, 5 years, our nurse. Brad Miney, 5 years, Color Guard Director, City Councilor. Jim Weigel, 5 years in supply. Andrew Christman, 10 years, County Councilor. Cody McLean, 10 years, City Councilor. Ed Plansky, 10 years in traffic, and he's not here, we'll get his award to him. Paul Williams, 10 years, City Councilor. Jerry Collins, 15 years, County Councilor. Rose Keith, 15 years in the Messy Center. Timothy Thiel, 15 years, City Councilor, Assistant Director of Athletics. Carl Verstegen, 20 years, Trust Fund. Russell Hansetter, 25 years, Chairman of the Board.
"26 years ago at a state convention, a Legionnaire said to me, 'Russ, you will be at Badger Boy State the second week in June.' That person was Jack Saunders, and I thank him for the opportunity that he's given me to have some of the greatest weeks of my lifetime, and I thank those that served that time with me. Thank you very much." Bill Kosh, 30 years, Board of Directors, Assistant Director of Orientation. Steve Sorensen, 40 years, Harley Staff. These are only a few of our staff members. We have a number who have served 50 years on our staff. We thank you to all of our volunteers for your service and for your service to Badger Boy State. And now we call on Reverend Thomas Screenis to give the benediction.
Wisconsin is a state of many religions. In the case decided in May 2014, Justice Kagan of the United States Supreme Court wrote in Town of Greece versus Galloway part of the following. For centuries now, people have come to this country from every corner of the world to share in the blessing of religious freedom. Our Constitution promises they may worship in their own way without fear of penalty or danger, and that in itself is a momentous offering. Yet our Constitution makes a commitment still more remarkable, that however those individuals worship, they will be counted as full and equal American citizens. A Christian, a Jew, a Muslim, and so forth, each stands in the same relationship with her country, with her state and local communities, and with every level and body of government. So that when each person performs the duties or seeks the benefits of citizenship, she does so not as an adherent to one or another religion, but simply as an American. It's my privilege to bring you a prayer from the Christian tradition. Let us pray. We give you thanks, Almighty God, that you have provided for us in so many ways. We give thanks for these young men before us from across this state. We thank you for all who serve this program and this work. We give thanks for the American Legion. We give thanks for the men and women of our nation around the world tonight who stand on guard for us. We give thanks for the President of the United States, the governor of this and every state, the legislatures, and the courts. We give thanks for the American people who stand on guard. Almighty God, bless our families. Give us a future of peace, and remind us each and every day that you are standing by our side. Lord, bless us and keep us. Lord, make your face shine upon us and be gracious to us. Lord, look upon us with your favor and give us your peace. All this we ask in the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Be seated. Color guard, retrieve the colors of our nation. Would everyone please rise?
Detail, who? Reason, who? Order, who?
Oh
announcements. And thank you for coming to our inaugural ceremony tonight. All Legionnaires, guests, and parents are invited to the reception tonight in Rodman, sponsored by the Badger Boys State Alumni Association. The governor has agreed to have his photo taken with our BBS citizens. To facilitate the process, we ask the following of all citizens to please stay seated at the dismissal of our guests. The BBS photographer will take all photos which will be available to the citizens. Boys who do not wish to have a photo taken can join their parents across the hall. Boys wishing to have a photo taken will join the queue in the basketball gym. Again, thank you for attending our 75th BBS inaugural, and the guests are dismissed. Thank you very much.